back in CES 2018, 2019, we showed off many things, Sega related obviously, Genesis, Saturn, and Dreamcast. We kind of teased about it, you know, many different ideas were going on at the time, and over the years we kind of worked our way little by little. Our recent announcement of the pre-orders for the Saturn Analog, the Saturn Pro controller, we talk about the history, about how we go learning step by step. So, you know, 2.4 gigahertz, wireless rumble, all these little features as we go along. We wanted to accumulate it with Dreamcast, and right now we kind of are going back to working on the Dreamcast wired and wireless controllers, and it's always been a question that always people ask. You know, first it was, well, it's always the Saturn Pro controller and the Dreamcast are the most requested, and we're very happy to announce that we're making more headway towards it. So for now, obviously these are kind of like mid-level prototypes. We're not at the end yet, but we're getting closer. So for the wired version, you'll have obviously the 6-button layout. CZ will mirror the LNR triggers.
Okay.
So you can map it, you know, let's say for your fighting games or stuff like that.
So work automatically for most of those fighting games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're still working on certain things. Obviously, the stick is a little bit more.
Looks more modern.
It's more modern.
Yeah.
You don't have that little dome with the little dimples all over it.
Right.
Now it's kind of like it feels more comfortable when you have it in your thumb.
This is the star of the show for me, right
yes,
there.
Yes, it's kind of like a Saturn style rocker D-pad. Really smooth, really good for fighting games. Really good for some of the few platformers that are on the 2D platforms. Like I think, you know, it'll be fun. It'll be good to get that in your hands.
And the triggers in the back, any differences with those?
We're trying. So again, these are not finalized.
Okay, sure.
So in this prototype, we're not really happy with the ergonomics just yet.
Okay.
Especially with the wireless one, but we'll go into that in a second. But this one's like, it's getting there, you know?
So you're still working on the mold, how it'll fit in your hands and stuff?
Yes, we're trying to keep it, when you hold it, it should feel like a Dreamcast controller.
Right.
But at the same time, with the advancements of certain things, like the wires coming up from the top now.
That's good.
Not to the bottom. There's room to work with. And it's obviously the VMU and all that stuff.
And a VMU slot in the top, so yeah.
So the wireless one needs probably the most work right now, at least as far as form factor goes. As far as like the buttons and all the play testing we've done with the internals, it's pretty solid. So similar to the other one, obviously without the VMU on the top, which I'll get into in a second. 6-button layout. We're not really happy with the way the triggers are right now. They're kind of shallow. So we're going to work on that, give it more of a Dreamcast, what's this? Give it more of a Dreamcast grip, because right now it's kind of stiff. Doesn't feel quite there just yet. But again, there's the analog stick, feels pretty good, more modern. Again, the Saturn style D-pad. We want to make this also for the modern consoles, so that's going to include a home and select button. Obviously right now that's not there yet. Obviously Sega branding, all that, or Dreamcast branding I should say. The only other thing that we're kind of still working on for sure is how the receiver is going to act. This is the first kind of a mid-level prototype where the VMU will connect to the console via a Dreamcast connector to USB-C. The USB-C connects to the receiver, and it has a little kickstand right here, so obviously you can see the VMU as needed. However, we're kind of toying with the idea still of trying to make the entire receiver into the connector and have the VMU be optional. And whether that's sold separately or as a combo or both, there's something we're still working on. Obviously, we want to hear back, community feedback as well. Not everything is finalized still. We still have to go through approvals with Sega. We kind of weren't really expecting to kind of have this ready in time for the show, but it just so happens that, we decided, okay, let's just show this off for now. So this is not the final. There's still tons of work to do on this, lots of playtesting to do on it, but so far so good. We're making great progress.
That's awesome. Yeah, a fantastic idea for sure, and it's great to see it in the flesh, in the plastic, if you want to say that instead. And I know it's probably still early, but do you know roughly how much this might cost? Do you know roughly when we can expect to see this on the market?
Cost-wise, as it goes with almost all our wireless controllers, we don't want to go too far off. We want to make this manageable for people. So our most expensive controller right now would be the Pro controller at $49.99. $299.
Yeah.
So we definitely don't want to go too far beyond that. I would say probably that's a good range for now.
Okay.
But I'm not the decision maker on that. I would love to be just like, hey, you know, the cheapest possible, but obviously, you know,
that's someone else's job.
That's someone else's job. But I'm happy to say that, yeah, we don't want to go too far off the deep end. Same goes if it goes for the wired version, probably be the less costly of the two. Obviously, the wireless one will have a Dreamcast dongle and a USB dongle, kind of like what we have with all our other controllers.
Do you know roughly when we can expect to see this come out?
I don't have a good estimate. We're hoping for a lot more progress by next year.
All right. Like 24.
Yeah, 2024. I don't know what point of the year, but as you can see, we've made good enough progress that hopefully more strides will be made.
And again, you're aiming for Dreamcast compatibility and modern console PC compatibility.
So it'll be the typical what we do. So Dreamcast, PC Max Switch, PS3 possibly. You know, the typical stuff. And again, for all the people who have their Misters or Raspberry Pis, you know, we're trying to accommodate that when we can too.
You know, once it's finalized and the mold's all good, I can see that being a good replacement Dreamcast controller for sure, with the better D-pad and the 6 face buttons and whatnot.
Yeah, we're hoping to make a lot of people happy, especially people, again, the fighting game crowd, or people who just like want to experience a more comfortable experience with the Dreamcast library.
Rumble's built in?
Yes, on the wireless it is built in.
Have you thought about putting in like a second VMU slot, or is it just there's just not enough real estate for that?
There's not really, like with the Rumble installed and all that stuff, there's an issue with power draw. We're still trying to experiment.
Great.
And then the VMU, while it is an essential thing to the Dreamcast, it might not be essential for people who want to play this on modern consoles, so to speak, you know? So if we attach the VMU to the controller, it's just a big VMU thing there that you can't use on a modern console or PC or whatever. So this is a BL5C, and this is your typical, you can find on Amazon or other websites for like, what is it, like $7 for 2 of them, so pretty cheap. So they're actually quite durable, they last a good amount of time, but you know, if for example it gets damaged or missing or whatever, maybe you want to keep one charged up and, you know, as backup or whatever, just take it out, pop it back in.
Nice.
You know?
Oh, that's awesome. And you can just buy any of those batteries online, right?
Yeah. Keep following us. We are not going to ignore the conversation that this will bring up. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion. Just keep in mind that this is still in the middle of development. We'd love to hear everyone's feedback, and we'll try to be responsive with the community.